Yes. We are to a football Friday, and it's a big weekend of football ahead. Maybe not so big for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Certainly a very interesting game with Michigan taking on Penn State. But we certainly turn our attention to Sunday. The Browns, the Ravens, getting ready for this game, Ryan, and just really taking a look at everything that Baltimore has. We know what the Browns have. These are two good football teams playing on Sunday. Certainly we know what Baltimore is at with Lamar Jackson in the MVP race. We know how good their defense is. We know how good our defense is. Can Deshaun Watson play the type of game that we expect him to play? And it never comes down to quite just the quarterback or just this player. We know it's a lot more than that. But there are two key areas that the Browns have to play well in. Two key areas that they have to play well in if you want a chance on Sunday. Which one is more important? The Browns defense showing up and making things hard for Lamar Jackson, or the Browns quarterback, Deshaun Watson, playing well and keeping them in the game? You can't say both. That's not how this works. You got to pick one, and we'll discuss all that as we gear up for a beautiful weekend of football on a Football Friday edition of the show right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning to all. We start with a very heartfelt thank you to all of our veterans out there, including my brother-in-law, Todd. Love you, bro. It was funny. I ran into him this morning. The thing is, you can thank people for their service, certainly, but you should also now be apparently saying thank you for our freedom. So it's all the men and women out there that do the jobs, that keep us safe. Our country is not perfect, but still, we're working towards it. Best country in the world. So all to the servicemen and women out there that keep us safe and allow us to do stupid stuff like in a radio, podcast, digital show every morning. Thank you to all the veterans out there. I know Veteran Day is tomorrow, but nonetheless, today is Observe Day. So we start very thankful this morning here on Veterans Day as we gear up for a Football Friday, man. I was so excited yesterday. I'm so excited today for this game on Sunday with the Browns. We got y'all. We're going to get to the Friday report card. Ryan and I had some disagreements this morning, which is a good thing. Well, in a way, a good thing. I'd love nothing more than to say the Browns, just everything is on our side. And that's how it was for the Arizona Cardinals game. Not quite the case for the Browns and the Ravens, but there are a couple ones that are closer when you look at some groupings, when you look at some areas of this game. They might be a little closer than you think. So we get to our Friday report card. We will get to our picks. We were really hot a week ago. We did all right last week. Solid week last week for us. So we get to our NFL picks. We got college that we have to get to. And, of course, Sonny Gupta, 10:15. We'll talk to him, sportsbook manager from Tipico. We'll get his play. Sonny's been hot, too. I got to tell you, man. That's why we have Sonny on. He's been really hot on some of his picks lately, specifically on the college side of it. So we'll have Sonny coming up at 10:15. We got a lot locked in, ready to go, taking you up to 11 a.m. this morning right here on Big Play. It's nice. It's nice that we haven't had the Watson injury thing this week, because every day it's been just me not worrying like, man, is he going to practice or is he going to play? Now, we'll get to the offensive line thing, because I think that is the one issue that we have that we're facing right now as we get ready for the weekend. We're probably not going to have much this morning on DeJuan Jones. We know he has not practiced the last couple of days. Do they slide Hudson over there? What are they doing? We'll get to that a little bit later. But really this week, Ryan, it's been nice to be able to focus on the game. You know Lamar's playing. You know Deshaun Watson is playing. And that in itself, yes, there are going to be, well, not 52, but however many, 44 other guys on that field on Sunday. But it's hard for me not to look at that matchup. And specifically, Lamar versus our defense, and then Watson versus the Ravens defense. That's how the NFL wants it. This is a quarterback-driven league. They are the stars. And you have the front-runner MVP in Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, and frankly, a guy in Deshaun Watson that I need him to show up for this game. That has been one of my things all week. Now that we've been able to move past the injury, now that we're able to just focus on football, this is a game that I need him to show up for. That I need him. Ryan, I expect I hope not for Lamar. I expect Deshaun Watson to play his best game of the season Sunday. And that's insane, because he is playing a defense that is almost as good as the Browns, maybe even a little bit better than the Cleveland Browns. and I'm going to ask Deshaun Watson to go out there and play his best game, it's my expectations. That's my level of excitement for this game. I know the Ravens are going to show up. I know they've beaten some really good teams, and they've throttled some good teams. There's a world of not even bookmakers, but of people out there, and they look at common opponents very closely. Seattle, anybody? Where we had to go to Seattle. It's not an easy place to play. And you had P.J. Walker in that game. And Seattle got a close victory. The Ravens demolished them last week. The Seahawks had nothing for the Ravens. So if you even want to just start the comparison or the Browns and the Ravens or even Lamar, look at your common opponent. Now, the thing is you can't do that because Watson didn't play in that game. But that's something that as I was getting ready and really all week just kind of diving in, I was like, all right, let's take a look at the common opponent. The easiest one is within the last month, within the last 3 weeks, you faced the same team with two drastically different outcomes. There's a level that the Ravens are on this roll right now where they believe that the number one seed is attainable, that first round bye, which is so very important. And obviously, I'm just looking at the records. I don't think they've had their bye yet, right?
No, they have not.
Yeah. So they're really gearing up to say, hey, we can kind of double dip a little bit on this one. Ravens can get their late bye and then also that first round bye in the playoffs, which is so important. They're supremely motivated. They are trying, I think, to prove some things to some people. And then you have the Cleveland Browns, where their momentum and their role is Deshaun Watson. And it was one game, it was the Arizona Cardinals, but their momentum is on the other side, where we finally have Watson back and healthy. We want to see what we got. And that is also the thing about Sunday for me. I want him to win. I think there's paths to victory. But I need to see Watson play well. If you lose that game on a late second Justin Tucker field goal, if the defenses are just clamping down or they run, that's fine. But what I don't want to have happen is Deshaun Watson throw 3 interceptions and get sacked 5 times, and he was not effective at all. And the hard thing is, the offensive line is probably, we know it's going to change because Jed Willis is out. Now, if you factor in this DeJuan Jones injury, it's almost like, I don't want to say the excuse is built in, but I'm going to grade Watson so hard in this game. Right or wrong, I am so focused on watching Deshaun Watson play on Sunday. It's not that nothing else matters, because that's not true. Because in this game, it will be the little things. It's going to be turnovers and penalties and special teams. You expect this to be a close game. But Ryan, I'm so in on Watson. I am so in on watching Deshaun Watson play for this game. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. And that's just how I feel. I'm sorry. I can't change that today. I just can't. And when I look about where the Browns have some advantages or where they need to be, the X factor for the Browns will be Deshaun Watson, because that's what I don't know what I'm going to get. We've got more bad than good. In the Deshaun Watson this year, in his last year aside, I'm not even talking about last year. And this year, there's been more bad than good, even when he's been on the field. But I lay it all out for Sunday to say, I don't care. And I'm going to be so focused on what Watson does that it almost matters more than anything else. Because I know the Browns cannot win this game on Sunday if he doesn't play well. And that's not a crazy statement. It's the NFL. Your quarterback plays bad, you're not going to win, unless you're the Bears or the Panthers. Oh, my God. For as bad as we thought that game was going to be last night, it actually was worse. It was painful to watch Bryce Young and Tyson Bagent play quarterback. Like, dude, throws that I'm sitting at home and I was like, was he trying to throw that out of bounds, or was he trying to throw it to Adam Thielen? There were throws that were 5 yards above where the receiver was at. I was like, that was a bad football game. But you know that for Sunday, for the Browns to win, they got to have Deshaun Watson playing well. We'll post this as our Twitter question this morning, at Matt Fontana Show. For Sunday, who needs to have the better game for the Browns? The defense or Deshaun Watson? Who has to play better for the Browns on Sunday? The defense or Deshaun Watson? Vote on that. We'll throw that up on Twitter, at Matt Fontana Show. I'm very clearly going with Deshaun Watson. In a game I put this stat out this morning at Matt Fontana 83 of total defense, rushing defense, pass defense, points per game, and third down defensive percentage. Between the two teams, they are top 8 in every single one of those categories. You have the number 1 and 2 pass defenses. You have the number 1 and 3 points defense. And you have the number 1 and number 2 total defense yardage on the field on Sunday. Honestly, the two things that are lacking in a grand scheme of things, the Ravens are 8th in rush defense. They suck. Just kidding. And 8th in third down percentage. That's it. These are the premier defenses in the NFL right now. So you could look at it twofold and say, we're going to turn this into a defensive game and try to hold this down, and you don't need Watson to play all that well. The other thing, you attack them at their strength. Because if you do look at the offense, total offense, 6 for the Ravens, 18th for the Browns. But the rushing offense is where it's going to be. Number 1 rushing offense for the Ravens, in big part because of Lamar. And the Browns somehow have pieced this together to be the number 3 ranked rushing offense in the NFL, which is crazy. It's kind of, here's the weird thing. And this might be something to help the Browns. The Ravens with Lamar, on just yardage, which we know his completion percentage is number 1 in the NFL. His air yards per target is top of the NFL or near the top of the NFL. He's only thrown for 208 a game. That's 20th in the NFL. The Browns are 29th in pass offense. Now, P.J. Walker, De'Aaron Thompson-Robinson, okay, and Deshaun Watson having some off games. So that's even a little bit easier to swallow, to say, okay, it's kind of that, well, what do you expect? The Browns haven't had all their pieces. You say that about the running game, and look where we're at, too, at number 3 in the NFL. But for a lot of these reasons, Ryan, for a lot of the statistics that you look for this game, you have 2 elite teams, but specifically 2 elite defenses. And we've talked about this. The Ravens do it differently. They are number 1 in the NFL in sacks, but they have a lot of guys that get after the quarterback. For the Cleveland Browns, it's mostly been Myles Garrett. But now you're coming off a game where Dalvin Tomlinson showed up and Shelby Harris made some plays. You know, individually, which we'll get to our report card coming up. This might have to be a big game there for Zadarius Smith. And I know he's been battling that neck injury, but this might be a game that you're going to need that other pass rusher to show up a little bit on defense. So there's a lot of those reasons why you could say this will be a low-scoring, drag-it-out type of defense, and that's where you need the defense to play better. Or on the other side of it, you're going to need your quarterback to step up. Cast your vote this morning at Matt Fontana Show. More important for the Browns this weekend, the defense or Deshaun Watson? Who has to play the better game for the Browns to get a win? I'm very clearly, dude, is it pretty clear how I feel that this is all on Deshaun Watson?
Just a little bit.
Like, and maybe this is unfair of me because, okay, after missing a month of football, he came back for 1 game. And he's going to have changes on that offensive line, which we'll discuss. I throw it all away. This is it. This is it. Like, I have, in my head, right or wrong, built this game up to be everything for Deshaun Watson. It's been a long journey, and we've only just begun. The suspension, the injuries, all of that. I'm ready to see the quarterback that I believe the Browns have. I'm ready to see the guy that some people have told me about. I'm ready to see the guy that I have thought would be it for the Browns, the franchise quarterback that I've been searching for forever, that I've been waiting for. These are the games. This is the game. And I need to guard against this because I'm going to try to not watch Sunday's game and make my declaration on Deshaun Watson. And I'm going to have to fight that on Monday. When we do the show on Monday, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to have to fight to not make my declaration on Deshaun Watson. Good or bad. He plays horribly. I don't want to have to open the show and say, we are in a lot of trouble. We're going to get Jack Duffin back on to talk about getting out of this contract. And I'm going to start looking at draft mocks for 2 years from now to find a quarterback. Not that. And then the other side of it, if he goes out there and torches the Ravens defense, Am I going to start this show saying, all right, everybody get off his back now, we're ready to go, he's our franchise guy? I might do that anyway. But I know that I'm setting myself up for failure. I know that this is the wrong way for me to approach this game, that I'm putting every egg that I have in the basket of Deshaun Watson. And Sunday will be my determination on the future. You shouldn't do that. The Browns aren't doing that, but I'm doing that. It's on him, man. All the other excuses, everything else that goes into it, it's time. It's time for him. This is the game. This is it. You are facing probably the best defense you're going to face. Here's your ultimate test. It's a division game. It's all of these things. All of it. It's time to go. Ryan, cast your vote. Bigger game this weekend for the defense or Deshaun Watson?
I don't know, because I look at it in the sense of, I think if we give up more than 21 points, like realistically, we're not going to win the game. So I want to say the defense, but all I really need out of Deshaun with this defense is just for him to hit his quick slant screens, just have a good completion percentage, which he did good last week, and don't turn the ball over. And that's really all you're going to have to do to win this game. And I don't know, Matt. To me, I think if we give up 21, 24 points, I don't see a scenario where we come out with a win. I
would be shocked if this turns into a shootout, right? With the fact that both teams like to run the football. I don't think you're signing up for some 36-35 type of game. So I think you're right on where, 17, 21, 24 points, somewhere in that range will probably be enough to win this game. Sure. And then that's the same thing. The chicken or the egg. Do you just limit Baltimore a little bit more on what they do? Or do you say on offense, we just need to execute to this level? And we'll get to the report card coming up, because there's a world that the Browns, it's tough to say, but that their offense is a little bit better. Like in totality, I still think you would probably take the Ravens, but that's just because Lamar is light years ahead of anybody else that's going to take the field, on offense anyway. Like, even if you want to line that up that way, the best offensive player in this game will be Lamar Jackson. The best defensive player in this game will be Myles Garrett. And they get to go against one another. And Myles seems to somehow have had Lamar's number. The Browns' defense has had Lamar's number in the past. Let me talk about that for a quick second. So I was actually talking to my brother-in-law this morning about it. And I was like, the Browns have had the Ravens' number. And that was kind of Joe Woods' thing. And I'm like, okay, he's not here, but the players are. And my brother-in-law looked right at me and he goes, yeah, but Kevin Stefanski's still here. And I was like, oh, yeah. I'm going to imagine that he has enough on the defensive side to sit down with Jim Schwartz and go, these are some of the things that we've done in the past. Now, that door swings both ways. Lamar has seen it. And this is now a new offense with who? Todd Monken, who was here in the Freddie Kitchens era. That was so far ago. I don't know how much carryover there is with Monken calling plays there for Baltimore. But they know us and we know them. It's that simple. Like, that's exactly where we're at for this game. So who blinks first? Who will make the changes? Because you really can't go back to that first Baltimore game. I'm sure the Ravens would like to offensively say, there's some things we can change, or there's some things that we really exploited in that first game. I flushed that first game. Mostly your quarterback was out 2 hours before the game, all that kind of stuff. But Baltimore has the edge in a lot of different areas, but just simply, they've already beaten us, and they have a recipe for success. Edge Baltimore, very clearly. The change? What's the biggest change from that game to this game? Deshaun Watson. And that factors in. People sometimes forget that the quarterback can be just as important to the defense. Where are you punting the ball from? Watch that game last night. Again, where are you punting the ball? Are you turning the football over? Are you giving them a drive to get a break if they really need it? The offense can screw the defense up just as much as anything on where you're at for field position, all that kind of stuff. So I get it. I understand that this has got to be a team win, but I'm putting it all on Deshaun Watson. Our Twitter question is up, at Matt Fontana Show, asking everybody, who's got to have the better game for the Browns this weekend to get a win? 70-30 early. 70-30 early, Deshaun Watson early in the results there. You can jump in the Twitter inbox at Matt Fontana Show, read some of those as we go on. The biggest issue for the Browns will be the offensive line. So as we know, the first question was going to be who was going to play left tackle. And you would think right away you're just sliding in James Hudson. Now you add DeJuan Jones has not practiced the last couple of days. Not even like in a limited capacity. He's battling a shoulder injury. And James Hudson kind of mentioned, and a knee, actually. It's a shoulder and a knee, I should say. James Hudson mentioned the other day that he might have to slide in at right tackle. Now we're getting dicey. Okay. Now it's starting to get dicey on what the Cleveland Browns are going to do. And I think this move is important enough that they're going to be guarded about it. They're not going to come out today and just go, yep, this is what's going to happen. I can almost guarantee you, at least I hope, that DeJuan Jones will be listed as questionable coming up for the game on Sunday. I guess they could rule him out today, but I'm hoping they find a way just to get him to questionable. Then you start talking who is going to fill in at that tackle position. So they signed that Garyon Christian off the practice squad. He's on the active roster. You have Hudson. And then down to the Browns practice squad, you have Alex Leatherwood, who's been a guard more often in his career than not. But you could find a way to slide him up there. And then... Sorry, I'm going around the practice squad here. Leatherwood... Justin Murray, who they just signed. And who's the other guy? Didn't they just sign? Ty Neshke's out. Didn't they just sign Leroy Watson? Is he not on this team? Is he still around? Yeah, he's here. The problem is, who are those guys? And then you got to face this defense that is the most sacks in the NFL. That's concerning. It's very concerning. I really hope DeJuan Jones plays Sunday. I think you backed yourself into the corner. And when you lose two tackles and borderline now losing a third if DeJuan Jones can't play, there's not many teams that can survive that. It's a very hard thing to do. I'm going to look at Bill Callahan and say, dude, you got to figure something out here. You got to wave a magic wand. You got to get some. And it'll change the offense because they'll, go over there with a tight end or they'll shade or shift the protection, all that kind of stuff. But I'm legitimately concerned about that offensive line, right? I'm a little concerned going into Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a scenario where anybody obviously feels comfortable. I know we've said this stat ad nauseum, but they lead the league in sacks. They have a sack in 30 consecutive games. And I think it's pretty fair to say that streak's going to continue Sunday.
Well, I mean, that's where, again, going back to me putting a lot on Deshaun Watson, he's going to have to move. He's going to have to move the pocket. He's going to have to get out there and make plays with his legs. We'll see how that plays out. We got the Friday report card. We'll dive into that coming up. Let's talk a little Ohio State as they're taking on Michigan State this weekend. Of course, we know the Spartans been dealing with a tough season with everything with Mel Tucker. Ohio State coming into this one. It is down in Columbus. A giant 31.5-point favorite. I don't quite know if I like the spread, but Ryan, there's nothing about Michigan State that I'm worried about. They just got smoked by Michigan 49-0. They've played some of the bad teams in the Big Ten close. But the thing is, Ohio State, they don't really blow teams out. Like, they started slow against Rutgers. They had one blowout against Purdue in the last 5. I'm a little worried about that. They should have no problem taking care of Michigan State. The big game this weekend is Penn State, Michigan. And as we've discussed this Michigan stuff all week, we've talked about when the suspension might come down, if it does come down. I saw Chris Canty this morning on ESPN talking that it'd be gutless if they suspended him today. They're not suspending Jim Harbaugh today. They're not doing that. Now, next week or the week after that, I don't know. Nonetheless, Ryan, I've watched Michigan this season, and I watched Ohio State play Penn State, and I was really shocked to click on ESPN Analytics and their matchup predictor. It's kind of like the FPI, the powerful one, and take this off for what you were. I know there are people out there that hate the FPI. They have this game at 50-50. They have this as even a little bit borderline for Penn State. Now, it is in Happy Valley. Michigan's a road 4-point favorite. Am I rooting for Michigan to win? It keeps the sanctity potentially of a 1-2 matchup. I don't know if they'll ever jump Georgia. But it keeps the sanctity of everything going into the Ohio State-Michigan game. Now, here's the other side of it. You know the Big Ten and the NCAA, they want them to lose. Because if they lose, they're out of this thing, and they can just hammer on down with the suspension, and we can get this all wrapped up and move on. I truly think that's what is holding this. I mean, again, the legal side of it, sure. But I think the Big Ten and the NCAA would love Michigan to lose at some point. Because then it's over. It's over. And they can hand out their bullcrap suspension of whatever. Now, bullcraps, I don't think they deserve it, but they're going to hand a meaningless suspension out. And at that point, it won't be as impactful. But then they don't have to worry about taking. Here's what the NCAA and the Big Ten don't want to do. They don't want to be the ones that take Michigan out of the playoff. They want Ohio State or Penn State to take Michigan out of the playoff. And I know you'd be screaming, that's only one loss, and then if they come back and beat Ohio State. But here's my thing on that, Ryan. If Michigan loses to Penn State, a team that I was not impressed with when Ohio State played them, and I don't mean to take a shot at Drew Aller. I think he's going to have a good year next year. But I saw Penn State. I don't think they're that good. So if Michigan loses to them, then there would be no reason I would think Ohio State can't take care of Michigan. So there's a lot at foot here. Like, I'm going to be, and both these games are at noon. So I'm going to keep an eye on both. Like, it's going to be fun to watch this in Ohio State. I hope Ohio State gets out to a 21-0 lead in the first quarter. I ain't got to worry about it. That'll be on the back burner. But I'm going to be watching that Michigan game. And the fact that Michigan is also just going to be on pins and needles every game. Not because they're sign stealing. That's over. But just because they know that they have to make statements. Like, do you see that graphic that they put up? The difference in Michigan when the sign stealing was reportedly started versus not. They were up 3 points per game. Their defense is down 5 points per game. Their win percentage is insane. I think it was. They only have lost one game since the alleged sign stealing started. They only lost one game. Like, point to all of that going, what the hell? But that's all aside now. And I dare say I'm a little more focused on the Michigan-Penn State game than Ohio State-Michigan State. I am. Yeah. I assume the Buckeyes will just take care of business, and I'm going to be all zoomed in here on this Michigan-Penn State game.
What happens if Penn State beats Michigan and then Michigan beats Ohio State? They all have one loss.
I don't know what the tiebreaker would be. I would assume at that point, what would be the tiebreaker for the Big Ten Championship? Big Ten Championship.
It's just I'm so glad they're getting rid of those stupid divisions because, like, the fact that only one of Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State can play for the Big Ten title is just
well. Then you look at who you're going to pull out of the West, Iowa. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the problem is. So if there were a 3-way tie at the top of the division, here are the tiebreaker scenarios. Shout out to the Columbus Dispatch for this. Okay. The records of the three teams are compared based on winning percentage in games between the tied teams. The records of the three teams are there within the division, which they all have just one loss. The records of the three teams are compared against the highest placed teams in the division in the order of finish. So here's the first thing. If you had a team with 2 losses, but were like 7-1 in the division, they're out. But that probably won't be the case. Because here's how it play out. Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State would all be 11-1, and all that one loss would be in the division, right, or in the conference, excuse me. So the next tiebreaker would be the next highest placed teams in the division of order of finish. Okay, that is out the window because they would be 1, 2, and 3 in the division. Right. It's not like they had a loss to Illinois or something. You know what I mean? So then, this is also out the window. Winning percentage based on all common conference opponents. Again, they all lost to each other. The records of the three teams compared on the cumulative conference winning percentage of non-divisional opponents. Again, out the window. And the records of the three teams compared on the highest placed non-divisional teams. Again, all out the window. There are 6 tiebreakers that all of them would not matter. If the teams remain tied after these 6 steps, the team with the best overall winning percentage will be deemed the winner of the division. If still tied, the team will be chosen at random.
That is dumb as hell. It really says that?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you choose at random?
So that's what I'm saying. They start with your division, which is stupid because it doesn't matter. Then you go to the conference, which again doesn't matter because all 3 of the losses were between the same 3 teams. And then if still tied, the team will be chosen at random.
Ew.
Okay. Let's play this out. All of them are tied. Penn State beats Michigan this weekend. Michigan beats Ohio State in a couple of weeks. You would say and again, we don't know how these games played out, right? If Penn State smokes Michigan and then Michigan beats Ohio State on a 30-yard field goal, you may lean Ohio State to say, well, they beat Penn State and Penn State waxed Michigan, right? All that kind of stuff. But out of those 3, who would you say is, I guess the hard thing would be you don't know how the games are played. Because I would say, how were the games won? That's a crappy way to do it. Because you want to know the worst part of this? Ohio State gains nothing by beating Notre Dame. The way that the Big Ten is currently constructed, which next year it's out the window because they're out of divisions and they're just picking the 2 best teams, which I can't wait to get there. But for this year, that Notre Dame win does nothing for helping Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. So, in a way, you want Michigan to beat Penn State because at least then you know the game is it. That's it. And then you put all your chips on the table. And how the College Football Playoff Committee has laid out, Ohio State would have a bigger buffer because they're number 1. So if you had undefeated Michigan and undefeated Ohio State at 1 and 3, and Ohio State lost, they would have a better chance to make it than if Michigan at number 3 lost, let alone all the sign stealing stuff, which I think eats up a little of that buffer too. So of all the teams right now, Ohio State's sitting in the driver's seat. Okay, they already beat Penn State, we know. They have 2 should be easy cakewalk wins here in the next couple of weeks. And then they'll go into that Michigan game probably favored, probably as the better team. So it's all in front of them to get it done. But yeah, eventually, again, if all 6 of those tiebreakers are exhausted, which the world is that they would be, you're talking about the team 1 at random. Pick it at random. That's just so crappy, man. Because it does not honor Ohio State's win over Notre Dame at all. It, in a way, rewards Michigan for doing jack squat nothing in the out-of-conference. I don't even know who Penn State played out-of-conference. Who'd they play out-of-conference? I'll tell you right now. West Virginia, Delaware, and UMass, who they beat 63-0. So by this being the setup that you're in, you are rewarding Penn State and Michigan for doing nothing in your out-of-conference, while Ohio State wouldn't play Notre Dame. Sad to see. I hope it doesn't play out that way. I really do. There's a world. Who do you want to win tomorrow, Penn State or Michigan? Penn State winning opens more of a runway for Ohio State to make it in a couple different ways. But you lose the game. They're at least a big part of the game. Michigan wins. You get the game for everything.
I'd want to see Penn State win.
Really?
I'm not a Buckeyes fan, so.
All right.
Because of that, obviously, if I was an Ohio State fan, I would just want Michigan to win and control my own destiny. But I want Penn State to win because I want it to get interesting, and I want to see all the Buckheads go crazy. I would. I
want Michigan to win. I want them undefeated when we play them.
If that actually happens, and then they choose a team at random, and like somehow, see, I don't buy that. There's no way they're just gonna choose a team at random. Come on.
That's what apparently it is, man. That's if I read this from the Columbus Dispatch. Again, records based on winning percentage in the games between the tied teams. So they're talking about when Ohio State, again, in a world that Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan are all tied with one loss and they all beat each other. Number one, winning percentage between the tied teams equal. That would be different if it was Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. Ohio State beat Penn State and Michigan, and then Michigan and Penn State lost to two other teams, lost to another team somewhere. Okay, so that's out. Number two, based on winning percentage within the division. They all have one loss within the division. Number three, compared to the next highest placed teams in the division of order of finish. Again, they beat all of them. Number four, winning percentage against all common conference opponents. They beat them all. Number five, best cumulative conference winning percentage of non-divisional opponents. So that means teams in the West that they played, again, defeated all of them. And then the highest placed non-divisional teams. You beat them all. You beat them all. I know the Big Ten hopes that doesn't play out that way. But we'll have to see. All right, let's get to the Friday report card. We will compare the Browns and the Ravens. There was one that Ryan was really conflicted on this morning. Very conflicted on one. We'll get to that coming up. I actually have something, Ryan, that will put your mind at ease. The one that you were really conflicted on, I will put your mind at ease on that.
Okay.
All right. You're not going to, it's thin. I will tell you that my take on it is thin. You can choose to accept it or not. But we'll get to that with the Friday report card coming up. We got our NFL picks, Sonny Gupta at 10:15. And don't forget about our bracket. Big Play Bracket of the Week is your favorite music video of all time. I have not updated, Ryan. Where are we at with that?
It's a runaway.
Runaway for Thriller?
Yeah,
that's where it is. But nonetheless, cast your vote at Matt Fontana Show. We'll get to all that coming up. Big Play Football Friday. You missed a week of football. I'm just going to talk football for just a second. Sundays, Bobby Carpenter, Anthony Schlegel, college, Ohio State football. Mondays, Greg and Blake Williams, come get some. You have Hanford Dixon on Monday as well. What better place to get all your football? Let alone, Reflog and Bruce and us and Chico. We all talk a lot of football. Speaking this week, Chico had the Hall of Famer on. Joe Thomas joined Chico back on Wednesday. Go back and get it. It's so easy to do. Go to Big Play on Twitter, find Chico's channel, and replay what you want. It's on demand. It is literally on demand. You want to listen? You're in the car for 10 minutes. Pull it up. There you go. Listen to a 10-minute ride. Right there on Big Play. We're, of course, streaming on the iHeart app as well. We're up on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram as well for all of our reels. We're everywhere. Big Play. When you need us, how you need us, where you need us. Check us out online, bigplay.com. The Friday report card comes your way next. That means it is a beautiful Friday right here on Big Play. All right, let's dive into the Friday report card as we always do right here on Big Play. Matt Fontana Show. Welcome back. We compare Browns and their opponent. Where do we have the edge? Where do they have the edge? And we always start with the quarterback. On name alone, this should be a little closer than it is. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, but you see there some of the big statistics that really are the misnomers, leading with the completion percentage. Deshaun Watson, solid 62. I need to see that number up there, but Lamar Jackson leading the NFL at 71% completion percentage. The crazy thing is, Ryan, a little bit about Lamar, he's not throwing a lot of touchdowns. Just the 9, a couple of turnovers there. And his yardage, I mean, here's the thing. Lamar Jackson is 14th in the NFL in yardage. So it's like, it's weird. They don't throw it all that often, but when they do, he's got a lot of yards.
Yeah.
Like his 7.6 average is up there. I was going to look this up. Attempts this season in the NFL, passing attempts. Lamar Jackson's only 21st in the NFL. So they're not throwing it all that much. Now, Lamar's legs, which we don't have the stats up here, but tell you that his rushing attack is really what kind of pushes this over. Nobody's going to sit here and try to tell you, Ryan, that this is not Lamar Jackson with the edge in the quarterbacks. But it's closer than I think some of the stats might bear out.
Yeah, he's got over 400 yards on the ground just by himself. He's their second leading rusher, just a little bit behind Gus Edwards. So that doesn't come up in these stats that we have here shown, but you said he's what in total passing yardage?
14th.
So I wonder what he is in total yardage if you add that 400. I think it's like 450 on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I was that would be up there certainly. On the 9 touchdown passes, that's only good for 20th in the NFL. Do you know Mac Jones has more touchdown passes than Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I think he has 10 and 8 picks.
It's not that many, but still, like that's what I'm saying is he's not even close. Like the leader in the NFL is Tua with 19.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins still has 18. It's good for second in the NFL. It's crazy. But Lamar's not throwing a lot of touchdowns. We'll get to something in some of our other ones because I think there's a guy that's going to score a touchdown this weekend. We'll get to that coming up. But the edge clearly very here to Lamar Jackson. Next up for the Friday report card, head coach. John Harbaugh comes into this game, Ryan. 36-13 all time against the Browns. Baltimore. I'm sorry. John Harbaugh. That's what I was thrown off. John Harbaugh is 25-6 in his career against the Browns. He is 13-2 against the Browns at M&T Bank Stadium. They don't lose there that often. But you have a guy that I think John Harbaugh, perennially a top 10 coach when you would look at him. His move for Todd Monken. I had this conversation with somebody. Their move for Todd Monken's a little like the Browns' move for Jim Schwartz. Like one of their biggest issues that they needed to get remedied, and they actually brought the right guy in for the job. So that's a well done on Harbaugh. It's a well done on Stefanski. This one is close, but I think we would all agree here it's John Harbaugh. He's a pretty damn good head coach.
Yep, I don't think there's really any argument there. Maybe one day Kevin Stefanski will get up there, but for now it's clearly Harbaugh.
So now we look at the receiving core for each team. It's something that I've been having an issue with all week. It's kind of been an underlying thing. Donovan Peoples-Jones gone. I feel like it's Amari Cooper and everybody else. And then you flip over for the Baltimore Ravens. Zay Flowers seems to be a great draft pick. Rashad Bateman is questionable for this game. But Odell Beckham has kind of really been hit or miss. And the guy that I think is going to score a touchdown this weekend, Ryan, Mark Andrews. He has 6 of Lamar's 9 touchdown passes have gone to Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews in his career has just feasted against the Cleveland Browns. We always joke about, for some reason the Browns can't cover the tight ends and all that kind of stuff. Mark Andrews' career against the Cleveland Browns, 11 games. He is 4-7 in those games, by the way. 621 yards for an average reception of 13 yards. Ryan, he has 9 touchdowns. Bengals are second at 7. So think about it this way. This is the easiest way to explain this. Mark Andrews has 9 touchdowns against the Browns. 7 against the Cincinnati Bengals. He doesn't have more than 3 against any other team. Do you want a really gaudy statistic? In 9 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mark Andrews has never scored a touchdown. Isn't that something?
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised.
He feasts on the Cleveland Browns. 9 touchdowns against the Browns. Read it right there. I would think you would line it up to say that he's going to score a touchdown. So when you compare, and you think about, again, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar's not really been found. Bateman's been injured. They're not even throwing to Odell Beckham. But it's got to be the Ravens here. This is a gap. This, I think, is... What do you think is the wider gap? Lamar between Deshaun or their receivers versus our receivers? Bro, I am so down on our receivers. That's maybe unfair of me, and maybe this is a big Elijah Moore game coming. I have no faith that the Browns receivers can make any plays for this team outside of Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. I would honestly give the nod to the Browns. Like,
in the receiving corps?
Yeah.
Tell me why. I'm very interested.
Because, okay, so I think Amari Cooper's clearly the best receiver if you were to compare both teams. And,
yeah, that's fine.
And then, yeah, you have the whole argument of who's really behind Amari Cooper. Elijah Moore really hasn't done anything. I mean, Marquise Goodwin's hurt. We traded Donovan Peoples-Jones. So I agree. There's really nobody there. But you go look at Baltimore. I think Amari Cooper and David Njoku, I would take over Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Whoa.
Zay Flowers is going to be really good. He's going to be special for a long time. He's got quick. He's got that kind of not Tyreek Hill level, but that quick twitch. You know, you throw him screens and he just takes off in open space. Outside of them, though, I mean, our receiving core is bad too, but Devin Duvernay, I'm sorry.
I just look at him as a kick returner.
Yeah.
I don't even really look at him
Nelson Aguilar, garbage.
Yeah, I don't think he's good. Odell's not been good.
Rashad Bateman,
injured.
Never can stay on the field.
Yeah.
And Odell Beckham, get out of here. I'd give Cleveland the nod.
But even Njoku over... So this is Njoku in 10 games against the Ravens in his career. 433 yards, so only about 43 yards a game and only 3 touchdowns.
I mean, I'm saying
factor in how you want about, like, if you were just taking Mark Andrews versus David Njoku, but the thing you've got to put into this, Ryan, is David Njoku versus the Ravens and then Mark Andrew versus the Browns, and Mark Andrew owns us.
Well, yeah, then I guess it's how you're grading it. Because if I was just grading it at a visual scale, I would take the Browns. But I mean, if you factor into, Mark, we can't. If I have to see Mark Andrews open in the middle of the field more than once on Sunday, I'm going to be frustrated because I know it's going to happen. And yeah, he's probably going to score a touchdown because he does every time we play him. But I mean, if you factor in that, like, he just has a tendency to expose the Browns, then yeah, I would vote. But just based on a report card level, I think the Browns honestly are better.
Now to the running back position, and I'll tell everybody, this was the one that Ryan was a little conflicted on. So we gave edge to the Cleveland Browns. Let's start with the rushing attack for Baltimore. They obviously lose J.K. Dobbins. Marlon Humphrey said this week that they were 85% close to trading for Derrick Henry. Thank goodness they didn't. So Gus Edwards has 478 yards. That's an average of 4.3. He's got 7 touchdowns, okay? Lamar Jackson's their second leading rusher. Dude, he's averaging 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
That's impressive, with 5 touchdowns. The one that we bring up is this new Keaton Mitchell. He's only played 3 games, but he's averaging 15 yards a carry and the 1 touchdown. Here's the thing on Keaton Mitchell. He was limited with a hamstring injury on the Thursday injury report for the Baltimore Ravens. Hamstring is the biggest thing there. This isn't a hand or a foot or something. This is a hamstring. That can be a little iffy. Gus Edwards, and they do the 2-back thing. Like Justice Hill was, now it's, kind of more Gus Edwards in between, so Keaton Mitchell, we'll see. We gave the edge to the Cleveland Browns, and you said you weren't sure on that one, right, Ryan? This is the one that you thought might go to Baltimore, right? At the very least, this is not what either team expected. This should be J.K. Dobbins versus Nick Chubb, which would be no contest at all, be the Cleveland Browns. This is thin. This is razor thin. But I'll give you a reason that we should lean the Cleveland Browns. There's only one guy on this field on Sunday that ever led the league in rushing, and that was Kareem Hunt. Now, that was moons ago. That was ages ago.
That was what, 17?
I get it. I understand that. But even then, Gus Edwards or Kareem Hunt, comparable. But then Jerome Ford versus Keaton Mitchell. I'm taking Jerome Ford. And I know that Keaton Mitchell has all of a sudden shown up and been insane all of a sudden, but I've seen more out of Jerome Ford. That's why I like how we went to the Browns on the running back position here. I think that's the way to go. I truly do. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, like, going with the Browns. It's kind of a thing. It's like, Does Cleveland have more talented backs? I would agree with you and say so. And then the other way to look at it is Baltimore's just had more success running the ball with lesser names. So it's kind of like hard. I could see an argument to give them the nod because they've had more success. But I would ultimately agree because the same logic that I took why I would give the Browns the wide receiver, if I'm applying that same logic, then I would also agree in the sense that Cleveland would get the nod here.
Well, and now we get to the offensive line, which is something that these are actually two good lines. There's a world that we give this to Baltimore. Ronnie Stanley, okay, let me put it this way. Ronnie Stanley is the best tackle in this game. But then you have the two best guards. Kevin Zeitler's still over there for the Ravens. Their left guard is John Simpson, who's playing just fine. But then Tyler Linderbaum is the better center. Yeah. So you kind of like to play that game where they have the two better tackles, we have the two better guards, they probably have the better center. You could add that up and say, well, that's 3 versus 2 to Baltimore. Morgan Moses, their right tackle, he was on the injury report, but he practiced fully all week, so he's going to play. As it grades out, Tyler Linderbaum is grading out as the 4th best center in football. Morgan Moses is the 20th best tackle. Ronnie Stanley, the 34th. Zeitler is the 19th best guard. John Simpson is only the 51st ranked guard in the NFL. Now, the problem is that I don't know who's playing tackle for the Cleveland Browns. So we gave the edge to the Browns here. We might have to change that, Ryan. What do you think? I think Baltimore might have the edge here. I do.
Yeah.
It's close. I mean, if you were at full strength, this would be a different conversation. I think the Ravens actually have the better offensive line in this. So I think, unfortunately, we got to go here. Now, we split the defenses because they're both damn good. I mentioned all these gaudy statistics a little bit earlier. Well, let me bring up again. Total defense, Browns 1, Ravens 2. Rushing defense, Browns are 6th, Ravens are 8th. Passing defense, Browns 1, Ravens 2. Points per game, Ravens 1, Browns 3. Third down efficiency, Browns 1, Ravens 8. Throw a blanket over. That's how close they are. Maybe an edge to the Cleveland Browns. But Ryan, here's one stat that I think might separate these two teams come Sunday. And that would be red zone defensive touchdown percentage. Field goals be damned. How often do you give up a touchdown in the red zone? Ryan, Baltimore is number 1 at only 33%. The Browns are double that. They give up a touchdown 66% of the time that their opponent gets into the red zone. That is 28th in the NFL. Take away, Ravens are +1. We know the Browns have been down just mostly because they've given the football away so much on offense. And then if you want to add in the sacks of where this Ravens defense is at, because as we know, they're number 1 in the NFL. They're number 1 in the sacks, and they do it differently than the Browns, where they're more quantity maybe over quality. But Matabike's got 7. It's close. Like, that's why we split this, Ryan. But I really think, this is maybe another slight lean to Baltimore. Maybe just a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think no doubt Cleveland has a better D-line. And then we have Denzel Ward, but outside of him, you can honestly say they have just as good, if not a better secondary. Then you go look at the safety. Kyle Hamilton's one of the best safeties in the league right now.
Geno Stone, 6 interceptions leading the NFL this year, by the way.
Yeah, and so I would give him the nod at safety then, even though Grant Delpit's been playing really well. And then you go look at linebackers, it's not really competition there. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, arguably the best linebacking duo in football. So if I had to pick one, I'm fine with them being tied. If I had to pick one, I'd lean Baltimore.
All right. One of my favorite things that we do all week, Ryan. It's time to get to our picks, and we get to them with our friends at Tipico. Here we go. So we run it on through. We recap the weekend, or last week, I should say. Ryan, we are now tied on the season. I went a semi-modest 8-4-1 last week. Ryan going 6-6-1. We are tied at 59, 43, and 3. The pushes have now become all of a sudden a thing here in the recent weeks for us. So, hey, we're still 16 games above 500, man. That's what you want to do. We always do it against the spread, and we do it thanks to our friends at Tipico. Head right over to the app, folks. Download it. Use that code BIGPLAY150 when you sign up. You get those bonus bets, and you can play along with us all season long right here on Tipico. Big play, big bets coming up a little bit later with Nick, Dave, and Ted Ginn will be on that show. They're pretty hot on some of their picks, too.
Yeah, they are.
I watch Reflog's picks on Monday when they always send those out as well. So bet with us all season long. We use the Tipico app. We absolutely love it. Download it. Use that app. Use that code BIGPLAY150 when you get signed up. We head back to Germany. Get your schnitzel ready. And a nice light lager, a Hefeweizen, if you'd like.
Gross game.
It's a bad game. The Indianapolis Colts taking on the New England Patriots. Now, this one is interesting to me, Ryan, because on the road, this kind of smells a little bit like a Patriots cover. This line opened at 5 for the Patriots. It is now a 1.5. I have it at 2 on Tipico. So you want to do 2 on Tipico. For the Indianapolis Colts, the favorite, again, on the road per se, because it is over there. Colts coming in a shocking 4-5. Of course, we know the Patriots are 2-7. Coming into this game, Indianapolis got a nice win over Carolina to end their 3-game losing streak. For the Patriots, they've lost 5 out of their last 6. They lost that game against Washington, which I don't really know how that all happened. You get into the public money on this game. We start 55-45, a slight edge in public money to the Indianapolis Colts. Let me get into some trends here quickly for you. Colts are only 5-15 straight up in their last 20 games. They're only 2-6 against the spread. Their last 8 games against the Patriots. They're only 1-9 straight up in their last 10 games against New England. And they are 0-5 against the spread on the road against the Patriots. This is a technical home game for the Patriots, but I think on the road still applies because Indy's got to make the travel as much as the Patriots do. Patriots are terrible right now. They're 2-11 against the spread their last 13 games. Again, I have home stats, but I don't really count any of that. 2-point spread here. I'm actually going to go with the New England Patriots, Ryan. I think this is a dicey game. I don't really trust the Colts. I'll take the Patriots plus that too.
I'll never bet Mac Jones in my life. Give me the Colts.
Colts it is for young Ryan. We continue on. Next game up on our slate, we will get to the Texans traveling to take on the Bengals. This a 6.5 home point favorite here for the Bengals. Public money on this game. I'm discombobulated a little bit this morning. 71% of the public money is on the Cincinnati Bengals for this game. Of course, I think, the upstart now all of a sudden, Houston Texans at 4-4, but the Bengals are hitting their stride. They're at 5-3. This is at Paycor Stadium. This opened at 8.5, Ryan. It's down to 6.5, though, which I think is interesting because a lot of the money is coming in on the Bengals. Houston is 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games. But how about this? Houston is 8-3 against the spread their last 11 games against the Bengals, and they are 8-2 straight up in their last 10 games against Cincinnati. Houston is 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games down in Cincinnati. You flip it over for the Bengals. They've turned it on. 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games. 10-1 straight up in their last 11 games at home. 6.5 Bengals, Texans. I'm going to ride Cincy here. I think some of the magic rolls out here for Houston. Ryan.
It's going to be close. And I kind of feel like I should go with the Bengals at home. But however, CJ Stroud just straight up does not turn the ball over. I think that's going to bode well for them enough to cover by a touchdown. So I'll go with the Texans.
Texans it is for Ryan. Tennessee traveling on to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a 1-point spread. Public money on this game, I have it 50-50. Straight down the middle on a 1-point spread here for the home Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, the biggest story right now for Tennessee is the upstart of one Will Levis. Can they keep that rolling down there against Tampa, who... Are they out of this? I think they're out of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, they lost 4 straight. They don't really have much going for them. But, I mean, you can't... They necessarily haven't been playing horrible. They've caught some bad slide. And then they really should have won last week, but the defense just crumbled there in the last minute. And
Yeah.
Credit to CJ Stroud.
I know. This one's a hard one for me. Did our internet just go out?
I don't think so.
I got the wheel of death right now.
That's just you.
I'm really sorry. Bad gateway. The hell is that? Hang on. I had all my trends pulled up, ready to go for this game. All right, I'm back in. Here we go. All right, it opened as a pick'em game. It is 1 point now on the side of Tampa Bay. As I mentioned, public money is at 50-50. Titans come in 2-4 against the spread their last 6 games, but they are playing well against the Buccaneers. Tennessee is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games against Tampa. They are 8-1 straight up in their last 9 games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You flip it over for the Bucs. They're sliding in a bad way. They're 1-5 straight up in their last 6 games. And how about this? Tampa is 3-10-1 against the spread their last 14 games when they are the favorite. That's not a trend I think I like very much there, Ryan. 1 point on the side of the Bucs. It's home. I guess I'll take Tampa Bay here.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 5 teams. I think the Bucs are just a little bit better. Will Levis going on the road. Everything just kind of leans Tampa Bay, and it's only 1, so I'll go with Tampa. I'll go with the home team.
All right, an interesting matchup in the NFC side of things is the Saints trying to keep things rolling, and then the Minnesota Vikings with the resurgence of Josh Dobbs. This game coming in as a 2.5-point road favorite for the New Orleans Saints as they're up there at, oh God, what's that field? U.S. Bank. I knew it was a bank. Sorry, I'm KeyBank. Shout out to KeyBank. There. 5-4 for the Vikings, 5-4 for the Saints, but I think two teams that are going in a little bit of opposite directions. This open is a 1.5-point favorite for the Saints. It is now to 3, or we have it at 2.5 on this one. As far as the public money on this game goes, 54% of it is on the New Orleans Saints. Quick trends here for this game. New Orleans only 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games. They are 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games against Minnesota, but they're only 2-4 straight up in those last 6 games against the Vikings. Minnesota's turned it around, 5-1 against the spread their last 5 games, but they are not covering at home. They're only 1-6 against the spread their last 7 road games. I'll take New Orleans here. I think they have a little more to play for here. And no offense to our guy Josh Dobbs, I'll take Derek Carr in this matchup.
I'm going to ride with the Dobbs, man. I just can't in good faith not bet him. Home team. New Orleans is one of the most interesting teams in football this year because you're 10 weeks in, and I still can't get a read on them. I still don't know how good they could be. Their defense is above average. Alvin Kamara's back, and he's been playing fantastic for them. And it really just lies in the hands of Derek Carr, who's kind of been one of the inconsistent, to say the least. It's weird because you'll see the Saints put up a lot of points one week, and then they'll just completely flutter on offense and have nothing going for them. I'm just going to go with the home team here in Dobbs.
This is a sneaky, really good game. Down in Jacksonville is the San Francisco 49ers. That has to be one of the longest trips that you could make, going from San Fran all the way down to Jacksonville. Of course, the 49ers 5-3 on a 3-game losing streak. They take on Jacksonville at 6-2, who really have seemed to kind of hit their stride a little bit. But it's San Francisco, a 3-point road favorite, opened at 1.5 points. 60-40 public money is on the side of San Francisco. And I'd say, why would that change? Await San Francisco getting healthy. Debo going to play in this game, it looks like, maybe getting Trent Williams back. And for Jacksonville, dude, their offense is anemic. I was looking at this. Do you know, like, Trevor Lawrence has only thrown 1 touchdown pass in like 5 straight games or something like that?
Yeah, ETN's been balling out.
Yeah, he has been. San Francisco coming in 13-6 against the spread their last 19 games. And they are 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games against Jacksonville, 4-1 straight up in their last 5 against Jacksonville. But San Francisco on the road, not great. 1-4 against the spread their last 5 road games. Jacksonville, I mentioned on that hot streak, they're 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games, 7-2 straight up in their last 9 games at home. I got this thing about Trevor Lawrence, man, where I expect him to be better. I have to take San Francisco here, though. I think even just alone on that defense stopping Travis Etienne, but I want this marked down. Jacksonville's going to win this game. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I know it. but I have to take San Francisco in this. I don't like it. San Francisco to cover that 3. Right.
Yeah, Jacksonville, the hottest team in football right now, longest active winning streak. In the preseason, my hot take was Jacksonville is going to get the #1 seed in the AFC, so I can't really go away from that now, so I'm going to take Jacksonville.
All right, Jax. I truthfully, I really like that pick a lot in that one, Ryan. Green Bay traveling to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jordan Love, a semi-rookie quarterback, so you could read into it how you'd like about a rookie quarterback, having to go play in Pittsburgh. This is a 3.5-point home favorite for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 5-3 for the Steelers. 3-5 for the Packers. Open at 2.5. It's to 3.5. It's about stayed there. Public money on this game has a giant 75% of the public money over there on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I kind of see why. Green Bay's only 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games, but back and forth because this is historic with Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games against Pittsburgh, but they're only 2-5 straight up. Green Bay, 3-7 straight up in their last 10 games on the road, and they have not won in their last 5 games that they have played in Pittsburgh. You flip it over for the Steelers, 9-3 against the spread their last 12 games, 9-3 straight up in their last 12 games, and again, they've beaten they've beaten Green Bay the last 5 times they've played there at Paycor. It's Acrisure Stadium. I apologize, Heinz Field. This is easy for me. I'm going to take the Steelers all live long day on this one.
Yeah, this is another annoying game. Pittsburgh's probably going to get to 6-3. God knows how. Maybe 20 total points scored in this game. It's going to be an ugly affair, but Pittsburgh is going to get a win again.
This game is so intriguing for a lot of reasons. Kyler Murray back for the Arizona Cardinals. They're at home to take on the Atlanta Falcons. So as we know, the Falcons have switched quarterbacks. They're going with Taylor Heineke, and they're trying to keep this thing alive at 4-5. For the Cardinals, they're 1-8. They don't have much going for them. But it's shocking, Ryan, that Atlanta's only a 1.5-point road favorite. I think Kyler Murray has a lot to do with that when we start looking at this game. 64% of the public money is on the side of the Arizona Cardinals. Trends on this one. Atlanta, 1-7 against the spread their last 8 games. 1-9 straight up in their last 10 games on the road. And Atlanta is 1-8 straight up in their last 9 games on the road against Arizona. The only positive trend that I have for the Falcons, they're 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games against the Cardinals. You flip it over for the Cardinals. I mean, okay, they're 2-16 their last 18 games at home. They are 1-5 against the spread their last 6 games. Arizona, though, 8-1 straight up in their last 9 games at home against the Arizona Cardinals. The Atlanta Falcons. I think I'm putting too much on Kyler Murray just coming out and hasn't played football in a year. I'll go the ATL here, but I don't like it.
Yeah, whichever way you bet on this one, you're kind of just betting on what Kyler's going to do when he comes back. And I have no idea what's going to happen.
Nobody does.
I'll just, for the sake of it, I'll go Arizona.
You're going to go Arizona here? All right, we'll see how it goes. A really good matchup here at 4 o'clock is the Detroit Lions traveling to SoFi Stadium to take on the LA Chargers. 6-2 for the Lions. The Chargers at 4-4, Ryan, borderline every game is now a must-win game, I think, for the LA Chargers. 83% of the public money. The biggest that we have, I've got a couple bigger ones, but still 83% of the public money is on the Detroit Lions, -3. It opened there. It is there. Quick trends on this one. Detroit 5-1 against the spread their last 6 games, but they do not play the Chargers well. Detroit 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games against the Chargers. 2-7 straight up their last 9. Detroit is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games on the road, but they have not won. The Lions are 0-5 in their last 5 games straight up when on the road against the Chargers. Flip it over for LA, trying to turn things around a little bit. 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games. I mentioned they've dominated Detroit at home. 3 for the Lions on the road. Ryan, you go first on this one.
Yeah, this one's another tricky one.
I don't think so at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'm gonna go Lions because I feel like you're gonna go Chargers.
I am going Chargers.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Lions are a little phony to me. Just
So
a
are the
little
Chargers.
bit. I know the Chargers are, and I got this thing about Herbert like I got it about Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what it is. It's a sickness. It's an illness.
It is
and
a
I ride with the
sickness.
Chargers when I really shouldn't.
You're sick in the head,
hate
Matt.
I hate it. Sick in the head about a lot of things, trust me. But there's something about, I don't know what it is. I really have no idea what it is. This game is actually, so I mentioned the biggest discrepancy on the public money. This is one of the biggest ones of the weekend. The Seattle Seahawks welcoming in the Washington Commanders. This is I have it at 6.5 for Seattle against Washington. You can get it at 5.5 at a couple other places. This is 90-10, Ryan. 90-10. The public money on the side of the Seattle Seahawks. They're 5-3, just came off that dismantling by the Baltimore Ravens. The Commanders are 4-5. They got that nice win, I guess, against the Patriots. Washington, 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games against Seattle. They're 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games on the road. For the Seattle Seahawks, 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games. 5-2 in their last 7. 6.5, that's a big number, Ryan. What do you think?
Give me the Commanders money line.
Wow.
That's my take this week.
I'll take Seattle. We'll differ on that one. Seattle needs a big bounce back game. I don't like that 7. I'd like it much more at 4.5, but it is what it is. To Sunday Night Football. Oh my God.
Better than last night.
Cowboys. I don't know, Ryan, because you had 2 bad teams. The Cowboys are a semi-decent team. The Giants are not. 17.5, Ryan. 17.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I thought we were on Jets Raiders. My bad.
No, that's. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. We're not Sunday Night Football. Giants Cowboys. This is a 425. Giants Cowboys 17.5. Just make your pick here.
Dallas is home.
87% of public money is on Dallas.
Dallas throttles teams at home. That's the only thing they're good for, so give me Dallas.
I'll take the Giants on the back door. That's a lot of freaking points, man. 17?
Beat the Rams by like 25.
Giants. I'm sorry. Sunday Night Football. Jets. Raiders. 1.5 Jets favorite. Public money, 75% of it is on the Raiders. Upstart Raiders now. They fired Josh McDaniels. They hated him. Can I really take the Raiders in this game? Jets are 4-4. Raiders are 4-5. I'll get you trends here because I'm a little conflicted. Jets are 2-6 straight up in their last 8 games on the road. They're only 4-10 straight up in their last 14 games. For the Raiders, 4-8 straight up in their last 12. I'm going to go Jets in this one. I think the hype helps you for a week. I think the Jets are actually the better football team here, which is crazy for me to say. I got to take Zach Wilson over Aiden O'Connell. Jets minus that point. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm actually really conflicted in this one. There's
a lot of tough games.
It's crazy to think Vegas is 1 win away from being 500, all things considered. I really don't like this game at all. Wow. I'll go Raiders. I'll just ride the Antonio Pierce magic wave. Hopefully, I have no reason to bet either team in this, so I'll just go Raiders.
It's a really hard one. All right, you want to catch a break? We'll get Sonny in here in a little bit. All right, let's catch a break. When we return, Sonny Gupta going to join us from Tipico, Sportsbook Manager. Got a lot of college, a lot of pros to talk with him over. We'll do that when we return. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. All right, we're back here on the Matt Fontana Show. Got our wires crossed. That's our fault. So Sonny's off this week, but we'll talk to him next week, gearing up for the stretch run in college football. So Ryan, you and myself will take a little bit on here.
Let's do it.
For a little college football. We start Michigan State, Ohio State, 31.5 points. I mean, Michigan State is bad. My biggest question for this game, do you think Ohio State is going to be able to score enough to cover that 31.5? I don't know if I like it very much.
I kind of get the feeling that this is the game they're going to do it. I mean, Michigan State is so bad. I don't think we can state that enough. Average less points than Iowa. And their defense just is nothing to look at. I think that Ohio State might win this game by 50.
Let me take a look here, because I want to look up the one trend that I had here for the Buckeyes. Here it is. So let me ask you this. Of all the, there's a lot of websites that I checked, that have all the trends and stuff. Do you buy into any of their predictors? Everybody's got a model where they go, we simmed this game 1,000 times, and this is the projected score that we have. Do you buy any of that?
No.
It never works for me. This line has jumped 10 points. In the season. The biggest thing that I look at, Michigan State averaging 16 points per game. So if you had it at 31, you need the Buckeyes to score 47 points in this game. That's a full 10 points above their average. I like them to be able to cover in this one. We go to Penn State, Michigan. This one is a close one. Michigan, a road 4-point favorite there in Happy Valley. I'd like this to be more of the game that... let me just put it this way. I don't trust Penn State. I don't think they're very good. I think Michigan runs away with this game, Ryan. I do.
Yeah, I don't... like I said, I would kind of like Penn State to win, but I would
just throw the Big Ten into the biggest tizzy that you've ever seen.
Yeah, that would be hilarious for me. I think Michigan is going to run away with it as well. I'm surprised that the spread's only that 4. I mean, it's because you're going to Penn State, which is notoriously a hard stadium to play in. It'd be different, though, if it was at night. I figured it'd be a 4-point spread, but the fact that it's at 1 or noon.
This is at noon. So here's the weird thing.
Yeah.
You have those two marquee games at noon, which you might be saying that's crazy, but don't worry. The 3:30 slate is damn good, mostly because we start on Fox, number 18, Utah, number 5, Washington. This is in Seattle. The Huskies are a home 9.5-point favorite against Utah. They're undefeated. They're probably good and pissed off that they are not, in the college football playoff right now. I would probably go with the Huskies here. But here's the crazy thing. Washington is only 4-4-1 against the spread this year. They're only 2-2-1 against the spread at home. Utah comes in 5-3-1 against the spread this year. I don't know. What do you think?
What's that number?
9.5 for Washington. Penix.
I'll roll with the Utes to cover.
I kind of like them to cover, too. Tennessee, Missouri, this is a 2-point spread for Tennessee. It is at Missouri, though. This is a 13-14 matchup. I will fully admit I don't believe anything about Missouri. So I will take Tennessee in this game minus the 2 easy.
Yeah, I don't really know enough about Missouri to make a confident pick here, but if they're home, I'll roll with Missouri.
This one's interesting. You have Ole Miss taking on Georgia. You have a 9-2 game. And Georgia is an 11-point favorite. They are at home, which I think has a lot to do with that. Ole Miss coming in, they're an impressive 8-1 on the season. For Ole Miss, their only loss coming to Bama, 24-10. They beat Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Auburn, and Arkansas. Of course, we know Georgia undefeated. Let me give you some trends on this one. Ole Miss coming in 6-2-1 against the spread their last 9 games. But against Georgia, Ole Miss is 1-10 straight up in their last 11. And they're only 3-6 against the spread. Their last 9 games against Georgia, they've lost their last 5 games when played in Athens. Now, the Bulldogs not much better. Now, granted, I know they get big spreads here. Georgia's only 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games. How about this? They're on a 20-game home win streak, though, for the Georgia Bulldogs there. Think Ole Miss can pull the upset here or no?
No, I don't think they will. I mean, we're finally at the portion of Georgia's schedule where they're really proving that, they do belong in that conversation to be the number 1 ranked team. Earlier in that portion, they were not covering spreads whatsoever. I think their only run that I remember was that one against Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I would take Ole Miss to cover, but I wouldn't go as far as to say they're going to pull out an upset.
The final one, 10:30, Eugene, Oregon, number 8, Oregon, unranked now, USC. Caleb Williams and crew at 7-3, coming in to take the Ducks. I've got this at 15.5, Ryan. 15.5. Is it weird that I have an unrational feeling that USC is going to cover this, and I love the lock on that?
No,
I don't know why. USC is not covered in their last 7 games. They're 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games against Oregon. There's no reason that they should cover, yet I feel like they will. They're not going to win, but I feel like they're going to cover. You give me 2 touchdowns on that, tell me I'm crazy.
You're not crazy, but the problem is USC's defense is so bad, Oregon might put up 70 in this. So I would take Oregon to cover, but I wouldn't be surprised if USC hangs in it realistically. I mean, you have the number 1 pick in the draft, like most likely. So, yeah, it's like, how do I bet 2 touchdowns against the consensus number 1 generational talent?
They're both averaging 45 points per game.
Yeah.
Both. I just think there'll be a shootout, and that'll be enough to try to keep USC in it. And they would love to dethrone Oregon. Their season's gone bad there at USC. I don't know why. I'm pretty irrational for some reason to take USC on that. All right, that wraps up our college football. Back to the pros we go. Talking some Browns and Ravens. We'll get into this with Tipico. We're going to start doing this on Fridays. We'll get you some over-unders when it comes to our game for this weekend for the Browns and the Ravens. But we start with our Twitter question this morning. Game for the Browns to get a win on Sunday. Deshaun Watson or the defense? 72-28. People say Deshaun Watson. John on Twitter, if they can't score, they can't win, so I'm definitely going with Deshaun Watson. This game's going to be tough. I think it's going to be... I mean, here's the question. Do you think this is going to be a shootout, or do you think this is going to be a low-scoring game? With the defenses, and even kind of, to be honest with you, there are some issues on both teams with offense. Neither one of these offenses are prolific by any stretch of the imagination. So this could... If I had to pick, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Just because the dynamic of Lamar... No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I think 20 points is going to be getting done. Kind of like the low scoring there. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be low scoring as well. I mean, it's when you have Lamar, I mean, you can have anything that happens because the way he just extends plays. I just want to see the Browns get off the field on 3rd down on Sunday. That's really all I want, all I can ask for. I would expect a low affair. I don't think Deshaun Watson's really going to come out and have this fantastic game on offense, especially with the offensive line problems. So I would say it's going to be a dogfight.
All right, well, speaking of that, let's get to our Tipico over-unders for Sunday. You can build the same game parlay. You click right in the app. You click on over to SGP Markets. And here's the thing. They have some popular ones. Like, you can pick some popular pre-made ones. I don't think I saw a boost for this game yet, Ryan. Let me see here. I'm sure we'll get one because we always... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Here's the boost. Deshaun Watson. Oh, man, this is a lot. You ready for this? It's a plus 1,100 boost on Tipico. Deshaun Watson, 2 or more passing touchdowns. Jerome Ford, 40 or more rushing yards. The Browns to score a turnover on defense, force a turnover, and the Browns 20-plus points scored. That is plus 1,100, Ryan, on our boost. It's an interesting one on Tipico.
Deshaun ain't throwing 2 touchdowns.
All right, that's fair enough. I mean, to score 20, I would think he would have to, so it's all parlayed up right there. Get to Tipico. Use that code BIGPLAY150 when you sign up. You get those bonus bets. You can play all season long with us right here with our friends at Tipico. Fast motion here. First up, Ryan. Anytime touchdown score. Gus Edwards, plus 115. Mark Andrews, plus 170. Lamar, plus 170. Zay Flowers, plus 210. Jerome Ford, Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt. Give me an anytime touchdown score this weekend, Ryan.
Don't overthink it. It's going to happen, Mark Andrews.
Plus 170. I like that very much. Ravens total points, over under 22.5.
Over.
Browns, 15.5. That's over. I think it's over. I think it's over a lot on that one. Passing yards, Lamar Jackson, 202.5. We talked about his yardage is not a lot.
202. That's like perfect number, I feel like.
That's why Tipico's the master.
I'd go.
Don't overthink it.
I'd go under.
Under is the right answer. Under is the right answer there. Deshaun Watson, 191.5.
Over.
I like the over. If the Browns are down in this game, you might have to start throwing a little bit. Passing touchdowns, Lamar, 1.5, over under. Take me under on the yardage. Oh, you like the over?
Yeah, for sure.
Deshaun is just a touchdown with a heavy favorite on the over.
Yeah.
It's minus 250 for him to throw a touchdown.
Yeah.
At least one.
At least one, I would say.
Rushing yards, Gus Edwards, 44.5.
Over.
Lamar Jackson, 41.5.
Over.
Jerome Ford, 42.5.
Under.
Kareem Hunt, 25.5. Over. Over. Slam it. Over. Deshaun Watson, 19.5. Sneakily, I like the over.
I would take the under.
You really? Okay. Receiving yards, Amari Cooper, 53.5 yards.
Under.
Mark Andrews, 45.5.
Under.
Zay Flowers, 42.5.
Over.
David Njoku, 34.5.
Over.
Do you want Elijah Moore or Odell Beckham?
Not really.
Not really. So there you go. Interceptions. Do you think either one of the guys throw an interception in this game?
I think both of them do.
Both do? Okay. Let me see if I can get a little parlay on that. Hang on. Over. You can parlay that they will both throw an interception for plus 235. You like that?
Yeah, Deshaun sure as hell throwing one.
Oh, wow. That's a shot right there.
Not really. I mean, like, I don't think anybody would be shocked if I said he's going to have one interception tomorrow.
All right, I'm going to build a little parlay here. Build a little parlay out. My favorite. I'm going to go Andrews anytime touchdown score. Browns over 15.5 points. I'm going to go, what was my favorite one, the rushing? I'm going to go over Kareem Hunt, 25.5. Over on Amari Cooper's 53.5. You like Deshaun on interception?
I do.
5-leg parlay plus 31.91. Andrews anytime touchdown score. Browns over 15, over 25.5 for Kareem, over 53 for Amari, and Deshaun Watson interception thrown. Book it right there on Tipico. I don't really like the interception part of it. This game for Sunday, when we think about where the Browns are going to have to look and try to take the advantage of this defense, I think it's more important for Deshaun Watson to try to keep it short. And I know it might, like, with this Ravens defense, they have the playmakers in the secondary, certainly. But their D line, you get that ball out quick. I think one of the ways that you can stymie their defensive line is you're facing your offensive line with all these issues. Ryan, get that football out quick. And that's one of the marks that with Deshaun Watson improving and getting back to where I think he should be, him getting the ball out quick is something that I think he can do and they want him to do. And that's something that I think Sunday is going to be another real big key for that as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I kind of want to see him use Elijah Moore in a role that...
Can we use him for anything, please?
Yeah.
Something?
Kind of in a way that we've seen the Ravens use Zay Flowers. I've noticed they do a lot of those quick bubble screens, and Zay Flowers is just such a talented, gifted runner in open space. And we've seen Elijah Moore has that capability. I would love to see him... Anytime you can get Elijah Moore in open field, and with that stat, we saw he's the, fourth most open receiver in the league. Really no excuse not to get him the ball.
No, and that's where... The running back position, too, is another one. They're going to use them in the screen game. Like, I think this could be another big game for the screens. If the Ravens are really starting to push things around on that offensive line, Kevin Stefanski loves that tight end screen. He loves getting these backs out in the pass set. I think that can really help. Speaking of the offensive line, we still have no update this morning on where we stand with DeJuan Jones. There's... I got to tell you, man, the concern is growing with me. Like, the issues that the Browns are facing right now. It's not just sliding DeJuan Jones over, but the fact that he is injured, he's not practiced. This afternoon will be a big one. Here's what I really hope happens. He practices limited today, and then he's questionable for the game. That is the best case scenario for DeJuan Jones. Offensive line, you can kind of play that game where if you don't practice all week, you can get back out there and play. DeJuan Jones is not Joe Thomas. I know that. But it's a little different than even receivers or quarterbacks, Ryan. I don't think he needs to practice all week. But that is a position of flux. That is something that I'm really concerned. And that, frankly, could be the downfall for the Cleveland Browns. The real reason that it would upset me, I then might not be able to make an honest evaluation of Deshaun Watson. I started this morning every ounce of my fandom is on to watch Deshaun Watson this Sunday, is to see what he looks like, how he's playing. And I'm going to come out of this game Sunday afternoon, and when we start the show Monday morning, either feeling like we're back on the right path with Watson, or my concern that this isn't it is going to grow. Is it one game? Sure. Do you have plenty of games to go? Yeah. Can you still make the playoffs with a loss this weekend? Well, of course you can. Certainly. Now, we would have to shift our opinion on wild card versus the AFC North. That's out the window. You lose this weekend, the AFC North is fried. But everything is still in front of you. I need to start seeing something for Deshaun Watson. Honestly, this is a weird comparison, but this is the only thing that I thought of. If you go to the gym, if you work out, and you go to the gym week after week after week after week, what do you eventually want to see? Some results. Because when you don't see them, what do? You stop going. I am at the point that I've been going, and I've been going, and I've been going, and I finally need to see some results. This game for me, for Deshaun Watson, I need the results. Is it unfair because he's only played one game in a month? Is it unfair because his offensive line isn't that good? Is it unfair because the receiving core has not been what you expected it to be? You've lost Nick Chubb. I don't care. This is now results time for Deshaun Watson. And I would never make a statement that I would rather him play well and the Browns lose than the Browns win and him not play well. I would never say that. But I know that this is a game that you have to have him play well to win. I need that. And it'll help me on Monday. If the Browns lose and I wake up Monday and at least Deshaun Watson played well, at least there's something that, Ryan, I can't have this be a loss and Deshaun Watson play poorly. I just can't have that. This is a game that is a results-based game for Deshaun Watson. He's got every reason to be it, right? He has everything in front of him to say that this is almost like his coming out party. This is what we've waited for. The division opponent, but then lo and behold, you're facing this defense, this Ravens defense that presents a lot of problems. A lot of problems. And I think the pass rush is going to be the one thing that they are going to try to do to get into Deshaun Watson's face. I'm going to need him to run. Did I put that on that parlay? Hang on. I got to add one more to the parlay because I'm going to go over 20 rushing yards for Deshaun Watson in this game.
Man, am I crazy to say that I truly believe if we beat the Ravens, we might win the North?
So that's an interesting take because as it lays out right now, they in essence have a 2-game lead on everybody. They are 7-2. The next closest teams are 5-3 because they have their bye still. And you would hope that, or at least in their case, that one of the teams chasing them would fall. So I do look at it to say, man, dude, that boosted my parlay to 58-59. I really like that parlay. Sorry. I'll do that. I'll deposit it after the show. So the thing is, what you need to chip away at is Baltimore is 2-1 in the division. So they have that lead over, Pittsburgh is 2-0, but we're 1-2 and Cincinnati's 0-2. You win the division, you have got to go at minimum 3-3. Really 4-2 puts you in, I think, a really good spot. So from that standpoint, yes. There's that opportunity. And we know the Browns' schedule, they have some winnable games on the way out. Where does Baltimore go? After this, they play the Bengals. Then they're at the Chargers, home against the Rams. They're at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, home against Miami. They wrap their season up against the Steelers. There's 2 more losses on that schedule there. There's 2 more. Now, you'd be sitting there saying, well, gee, at 13-4, they're still going to run away with the division and probably the number 1 seed. Yeah. But, is Cincinnati still on this hot streak? Do they win this weekend and then they go beat Baltimore? I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I've just resigned myself to the fact that I think the division is cooked. I don't think that we can get back in the division. Now, wild card, this is still an AFC team. That matters in the wild card, and it's certainly a win. I'll put it this way. Sunday, is everything for the division, but it's not everything for the playoffs. That's how I feel it. So I think Baltimore would feel like if they won and they improved to 3-1 in the division, yeah, they feel like they got it on lock. As they probably do.
I mean, yeah, if we lose Sunday, I don't think it's really any chance that, the Ravens aren't going to win the AFC North. But you go look at the Browns' schedule, it might be one of the easiest in the National Football League.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of wins on the way out. But that's where this game is so tough. This game is tough for the division. It's even tough for the playoff race. And the Browns are here. They can afford a loss. Let's call it for what it is. Sunday doesn't go your way. You're 5-4. You then are going to put the pressure on the red. Okay, so then you're out of here. You have Pittsburgh. That then puts Pittsburgh as a must-win game next week. You have to beat the Broncos. You have to beat the Rams. So there's a chance that you could go on a 3-game win streak right after this Baltimore game. And that, I'm not saying that's a bigger key than this game, but dude, if you could somehow beat Baltimore. And I think the Browns' momentum right now, they've not been able to build it. They've been an up and down team, whether that's because of Deshaun Watson, whether that's because it probably is all the change that they've had. They've not been able to grab this momentum and run with it. What's the best thing that Baltimore has going for them right now? I'm sorry. Well, and Baltimore, but Cincinnati, the momentum. They're on a streak. They're on a hot streak. They're rolling. The Browns don't have that right now. I thought they had it after they beat San Francisco and Indy. Then you fall to Seattle. Maybe in totality, they're feeling good. But that's where this game is important. I want them to win. But it's also going to be, again, Deshaun Watson. If he can play well and prove to me that he can then go out on this 3-game win streak and beat against 3 bad football teams and wax them, then we'll be right in this conversation. The Browns are in the playoff conversation right now, right? But for some reason, I just don't know why. I didn't really feel that way. You know what I mean? And I think it's up and down because of the situation with Deshaun Watson and where the Browns are at. Aaron Schatz did this from ESPN, the most improved units in the entire NFL. And he said the Browns' defensive line is the most improved in the entire league. The Browns brought in a number of veterans to overhaul their defensive line this season, and boy, did it work. Cleveland's now the number 1 defense in the league by almost every overall metric. Specifically, the defensive line is 4th in pass rush win rate and 1st in run stop win rate. The trade for Zadarius Smith has helped prevent double teams on Myles Garrett. How about this? Last season, Myles was double teamed at a 31% rate. This year, it's down to 28. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I guess that really helps a little bit. And then Obo Okoronkwo's really helped as well. Biggest remaining test. He says the Texans. Because in Week 16, when we face Houston, they are 8th in pass block win rate and 10th in adjusted sack rate win total. So that's, if you want to look at the Browns D-line as being the best, again, Aaron Schatz saying the most improved, you look at an offensive line here for Baltimore this weekend and say, well, maybe they got something. Maybe there's that edge that the Browns really need to try to get it done this weekend. All right, let's catch our final break of the morning. When we come back, we'll dive back into the Browns. We'll take a look again at Ohio State and Michigan State, and we will get to our bracket of the week. Your favorite music video. That all comes your way next. We'll put a bow on this thing. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. All right, wrapping things up on a Football Friday edition of the Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Don't go anywhere. Of course, noon. You got Chico 12 to 2. So we'll continue things on, getting you ready for the Browns and Ravens this weekend. Final thing, we head over to ESPN. I always love doing this on Fridays because they always have their picks and their storylines and everything to watch. So we go Browns, Ravens, 5-3 for Cleveland, 7-2 for Baltimore. As we know, a big 6.5 point spread there for the Baltimore Ravens. The storyline to watch, this comes from Jamison Hensley. This is a matchup of the two best defenses in the NFL. Browns lead in fewest yards allowed, looking to finish the league as number one defense for the first time since 1955. The Ravens are top in fewest points allowed and have only given up 9 touchdowns on 105 drives. That's an 8.6% chance. Their lowest rate since the Super Bowl team of 2000. Their bold prediction from Jake Trotter. Despite playing a Ravens defense that is number one in efficiency, quarterback Deshaun Watson will play his best game in a Browns uniform. From Jake's writing to God's ears or eyes or whatever. Giving the Browns a chance to pull off the upset. Watson, who returned from a rotator cuff strain a week ago, has not produced a QBR game above 80 in his Browns career, but he will do that on Sunday. If you're listening, please, we need it back. Stats, no, this comes from ESPN. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett is only a half a sack away from his 6th straight 10-sack season, which would extend the longest streak in the NFL. He'd become the 7th player with 6 or more straight seasons of 10-plus sacks since it became an individual stat in 1982. Now I want to know the other ones, right?
6 straight seasons of 10 sacks.
I want to try to Google it.
Strahan's up there.
Hang on. 6 straight seasons of 10 sacks. I mean, all this is the most amount of seasons with 10 or more sacks. Bruce Smith has 13. Reggie White has 12. Julius Peppers and Kevin Green each have 10. John Randall has 9. DeMarcus Ware, Jared Allen, John Abraham. These aren't all consistent. That's the problem. But to have the most consecutive seasons of 10 or more straight sacks. So that's definitely in there for Myles Garrett. Hopefully he gets that done. And then next up, ESPN's breakdown for the Browns game this weekend. The matchup X factor. I think this one's interesting. The Ravens run blocking. The Ravens rank 4th in the NFL in run block win rate this season and 2nd in EPA per design carry. That'll be critical because we just talked about the Browns' rush defense is very good. Browns defense that is arguably the best in the league against the pass, but not quite as strong against the run. If Baltimore can run the ball, they should be able to roll. That comes from Seth Walder. The Ravens, betting nugget for this game, are 4-1 against the spread against teams with a winning record this season. They all pick Baltimore. FPI has the Baltimore by 70% by an average of a touchdown. So that's where your spread comes out at 6.5. FPI thinks Baltimore is going to win by 7. We don't make our predictions for the Browns. I think it's bad juju. This is going to be a really hard game. It's going to be a really tough game for the Cleveland Browns. There are ways and paths to victory. They all start with Deshaun Watson. To Jake Trotter's bold prediction for this game, that this will be Deshaun Watson's best game of his career with the Cleveland Browns, I need it to be. Because, Ryan, I'm ready to say this. This is the most important game of the season for the Cleveland Browns. No question about it. You wanted to say that it was Cincinnati to get started. You wanted to say maybe it was Pittsburgh here and there. No. This game is it. Because if you win this game and it could propel you off, let me put it this way. It's not the Steelers next week. It's not the Broncos or the Rams or the Jags or the Bears or the Texans. And by the time you get to the Bengals of the last game of the season, that could factor into something. And that could change it, but there's nothing about it. This is the most important game for the Cleveland Browns the entire year. The entire season. I need Deshaun Watson to play well. I need him to go out there and potentially drag this team to a victory. This is all about results. This is all about what I need to see out of Deshaun Watson. I need the defense to play well. I need somebody not named Amari Cooper to step up in that receiving game. I need Myles Garrett to get a sack. I need all of those things to happen. But Ryan, no question, you are not going anywhere in this game if Deshaun Watson is not what you paid him to be. Not what I've seen this season, not what I saw 6 games last year. It's what you are supposed to be. I need him to step up to that level. He's going to have to do it without an offensive line that is humming right now. He's going to have to do it with piecemeal at the tackles. He's going to have to do it against the number 1 sack team in defense. It's all on him. This all falls on the shoulder of Deshaun Watson. And if we do the show on Monday, the sky will not be falling. There will still always be an opening for the Browns to make the playoffs and to push forward, and that's fine. But the one thing that I cannot have on Sunday is a bad Deshaun Watson game. I don't want to throw stats out. I don't need to say, I need 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. You know it when you see it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows when they see it. I have to have it. I got to have it from Deshaun Watson. So we'll see. Ryan, we'd be remiss without bringing up our big play bracket of the week. Congratulations to Thriller. Well done. There you go. Many accolades there for Michael Jackson and Thriller, but I'm sure none bigger than winning the big play bracket of the week for your favorite music video. This one wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Right, Ryan? It was
nobody's surprise. We knew Thriller was going to come out.
50%. I thought it might be a little higher than that, but 50%. Sledgehammer hot for Teacher and Take on Me, which I will say, I feel like we got the right top 4. I feel like we got the right top 4 on this.
I do as well. I watched the Sledgehammer music video for the first time a few days ago. Great music video. Very trippy. Very trippy.
Oh, well, I mean, that
fits the era.
It would be. It kind of gets out there just a little bit. Guardians have made a hire. Craig Albernaz will be their Major League Field coordinator. He was previously the Giants bullpen coach, and he also interviewed for the managerial opening. So here's the thing. And by the way, Stephen Vogt will get introduced a little bit later today. So from Zach Meisel, Albernaz will basically have his hands in a little bit of everything, as he puts it, kind of helping out. So we'll get a chance to hear from Stephen Vogt a little bit later today. I'm sure we'll discuss that next week as Guardians are starting to fill out their coaching staff. For the Cavs, they're in action tomorrow night. They continue this West Coast swing. NBA TV, they're taking on the Warriors tomorrow night. And then when do they play again? They don't play again until Monday, right? So they're tomorrow, and then, Monday against Sacramento. So the Cavs tomorrow night, Golden State. I hope they can roll a little bit. I was pretty disappointed that Oklahoma City lost the other night, but hopefully they can get a chance to bring that back, a little bit of energy going. So we got everything for you. Really excited about Ohio State. A lot of eyes will be on Michigan and Penn State this weekend. And then, of course, Cavs tomorrow night, and then the Browns Sunday, man. Dude, I'm so excited. I'm ready to go. We got you locked right here on Big Play. So don't go anywhere. Coming up at noon, of course, Chico will be there, but then all the reaction that you need from all the games. Bobby Carpenter, Anthony Schlegel, Sunday night. Monday, we'll be back, 9 to 11, Chico 12 to 2. Hanford, Greg and Blake. You got Reflog. You got Bruce Drennan on Wednesdays. You got Ted Ginn Jr. on Tuesdays. You got Josh and Marie on Tuesdays. You got Booby and Rafa back for Booby's World talking Cavs. Everything that you need right here on Big Play. Appreciate everybody joining us. Had a fantastic week. Again, we love your support. We thank you for it. Join us for 5 minutes every morning. It helps us out, man. We really appreciate it. Get the replay on Twitter at Matt Fontana Show. We're up on YouTube as well. And enjoy the hell out of what should be a fantastic weekend. For Ryan Tyler, I'm Matt Fontana. It's always a little sweeter on Fridays. Take it easy.